It didn't take long for this to start, and it won't stop anytime soon. I mean, there's only a few things that could make this conversation and thought process stop. So none of those things have happened, so here it goes. Texas had a shot with 1 second left against Washington. No, they didn't necessarily deserve to be in that spot, but they were, with 1 second left. Well, 0 seconds, then 1 second was put back on, so they had a chance. They had a chance. A ridiculously good chance. I want you to follow me on this. Could it have been different? Here's what's going on. Here's where this whole thing is going. I didn't think it would start this fast, but it has. Fans and media look at that game. And fans and media, even if you're not a fan, and say, wait a second, what if we had that guy? Yeah, what if we had that guy? When you watch the best pure passer since Joe Burrow, my opinion, argue all you want, what if Texas had someone like the best pure quarterback since Joe Burrow? Yeah, what if they had that guy? I'm sure they are now saying, what if we had that guy? It does make some sense. Their thinking is, wait a second. I mean, everyone's thinking this. Not even Texas. Texas hasn't said a word. But this is now starting to snowball. And what it is, well, look, Texas gets whatever it wants. It outspends everybody. Nothing is an object. So Texas gets whatever it wants. So what if they had that guy? Do you have any idea where this is going? The what if we had that guy conversation? What if we had that guy is not necessarily wrong. I mean, I don't really blame somebody. You saw it. They saw it. You saw a great quarterback. You were destroyed by a great quarterback. You saw what a great quarterback can do. In fact, that's probably where this whole thing starts. Look, when you have someone like that, look what happens. If you have a better quarterback, Texas, right? If Texas had a guy like Michael Penix Jr., they'd be playing for the national championship. It wouldn't even be close. It started, and I don't necessarily have to say it's delusional. Texas fans are usually pretty delusional. They expect to get any toy they want, and usually does happen. So I don't think it's delusional. I don't think the thinking is necessarily wrong. I don't blame anybody for saying, yeah, we were that close, but what if we had that guy? If Texas had Michael Penix Jr., yes, of course they'd be playing Michigan. They'd probably be favored against Michigan. So the worst thing, here's where this is going. The worst thing that happened to Quinn Ewers, the quarterback for Texas, a guy who played pretty well against Washington. It wasn't his fault that Washington beat them. Michael Penix Jr. beat them. But the worst thing that could happen to Quinn Ewers was Michael Penix Jr. and his ridiculous performance against Texas. Now everyone is saying, hey, what if we had that guy? And I don't say this for the obvious reasons, right? If you had Michael Penix Jr., that's stupid, Jeff. Of course you're going to win that game. That's not what I'm saying at all. In fact, I'm going to say the not so obvious reason, and that is fans and media look at that game and say, well, what if Texas had that kind of quarterback? The next line of thinking, this is where this whole thing is going. The next line of thinking is, well, wait, we might have that guy. We might have that guy in Arch Manning. Yeah. I doubt it, but that's the line of thinking. This is going to be a common occurrence. It didn't take 36 hours. And I don't know that I blame anybody. I don't blame the players necessarily. But it didn't even take 36 hours for this to start. This is Yahoo Sports. The Texas Longhorns now have a major problem at quarterback. His last name is Manning. It's a weird way to word it, the problem at quarterback, but okay. Here's what it says. Had it all gone according to script, Quinn Ewers plays one more game at the University of Texas and shortly thereafter announces his intentions to declare for the NFL draft. The quarterback room, I hate the term, the quarterback room at the University of Texas is now the most interesting story in all of college football. Yeah, probably true. Arch Manning is the most high-profile recruit of all time. I didn't say the best player of all time, the most high-profile player of all time at Texas, maybe even the most high-profile high school player of all time as well. That's because he's from football royalty. Texas lost, it says in Yahoo, 37-31 to Washington on Monday in the Sugar Bowl in the national semifinals. Ewers played a decent game, and Heisman Trophy runner-up, Freudian slip, Heisman Trophy runner-up Michael Penix Jr. played like an NFL quarterback. He didn't just play like an NFL quarterback. He played like an NFL quarterback who's been in the league 5 years. It's hard to envision a scenario where Ewers is the starting quarterback at Texas in 2024, and he's not a bad college quarterback. Declaring for the NFL draft now would be a needless risk. Yeah, probably. I can summarize that too, because I think there's some interesting scenarios there. Also a risk, returning to Texas for an additional season when quarterback royalty is QB2. Arch Manning didn't go sign with Texas to watch football. Yeah, none of these guys do, right? None of them show up to watch. The argument is, but that's football royalty. He certainly didn't show up to watch. It goes on. Ewers says, I'm a human being. I understand what's ahead. A lot can happen in 365 days. That's all we can really do is attack the offseason the right way and just continue to build this team to what it's capable of being. That sounds like a man who intends to return to Austin. Quarterback royalty, Yahoo says, is the current QB2, and Arch Manning will want to play. Quinn Ewers had a script, so does Arch Manning. Steve Sarkisian will handle this rewrite, and it's hard to see a scenario where Manning is anything other than QB1. So there you go. It's on. Neither player, I want to give props to these. In a world full of what I think are people that handle things publicly in a terrible way, particularly in college football, where the worst of the worst is Jim Harbaugh, but the players aren't far behind. These two guys could not. Let me say this about Ewers in particular. He could not handle things any better. Really. And then just be kind of quiet. Just play. Neither player asked for it. But it is going to be the offseason of why not Arch Manning. Let me circle back to what I was saying earlier. You can start to feel and think, okay. We saw their guy, the best guy, the closest thing to Joe Burrow we've seen in a few years. We've seen what happens when you have that, and you've seen what happens when you have Quinn Ewers, he's pretty good. He's improved immensely, by the way. So you can see, I can fully appreciate, particularly after that game, seeing what Michael Penix Jr. did, and everyone going, "Wow, that's like another level." that guy can carry an entire team. Yeah, and I can see how Texas would look at themselves, or media would look at this game and say, "Well, maybe they got that guy. He's over there." Because you can't win it all with this guy, but maybe you've got the next one like Penix Jr. sitting over there because he's football royalty. It does make some sense. I mean, I could see that line of thinking. I don't think it's all that illogical. Quinn Ewers has improved a great deal. The guy has handled himself publicly the best you can. He's a solid player. There. When you go up against and you watch everything that Michael Penix Jr. do, and then you compare it to someone else like Quinn Ewers, it's going to be night and day. He's that much better than everyone else. So now none of this is where the whole thing, you don't know, right? For right now, assuming he's coming back, this is the storyline, right? I mean, people are already writing about it's the most interesting story in college football. I don't really find that it is, but the fact that it's football royalty, it does make it the biggest story. None of this is going to matter if Quinn Ewers declares for the NFL draft. He hasn't publicly said one way or another. The closest thing you have to him saying anything publicly is his statement after the semifinal game, and it did sound like a guy that's coming back to Texas. I mean, if any sensible person were to be near him to talk about his draft status, they would tell him just go back to Texas and play another year. The argument for not leaving to go to the NFL draft is no different than what I said back in probably July. And that is, one, he's far down the list of desired quarterbacks coming out. There's probably 6 to 8, maybe even more, that would be taken before him. At least 6. So, why not? The logical thing to say would be, why not have another good year and build your status? The other part is, why to go back and not go yet, is that he's been injured often, and he needs to prove to a team, I don't care if it's round 2 through 4, he needs to prove to a team that he can stay healthy for a full year. Those are the reasons why you don't go. He's not going to be a first rounder. He's not going to be a high pick. And then the injury part there. The argument for coming out, and maybe stuff like this does play into it, which I think is, as I've said many times, I'm going to trust in this day and age. This should have been true always, but certainly in this day and age, when you've got these high-profile quarterbacks, these kids that think that they are everything, they think that they're supposed to play right away. You do have to be brutally honest with whoever's in front of you if you're a football coach. I mean, you just have to. And if it's true that you're going to throw the door open for the job to be open for the quarterback position, you've got to tell Quinn Ewers that. You have to. The guy's handled himself as well as you can. You owe him that. So the reason for not coming back would be, one, he's losing pieces all around him. Already today, Xavier Worthy decided that he was going to go to the NFL draft. The group of receivers is about to be depleted. So a lot of what made you look good, including that last sort of drive against Washington, guys are pulling balls out of the sky, they're going to be gone. Number two, he may want to play in the NFL now. The thinking could be, made enough money at Texas, got the cars, got some cash. The thinking could be, and I get this too, look, I don't care if I'm in the first round or not. I just want to get drafted and go play. I want to get on a roster. So the money in the draft position doesn't matter that much to me. It's rare that guys would think that way, but I suspect some could. And he'd be taken probably in rounds 2 through 4. He might be cool with that. Number 3, his job is up for grabs. That's what the headline is. Texas has a major quarterback problem. His name is Manning. That's the third part of this. That if his job were up for grabs, he can't turn around and come back to Texas and risk losing the job. If, in fact, his coach said, hey, I got to let you know, you might lose the job. You might not. But you can't come back and burn. Even if you're going to pick in round 3 or 4, you can't come back and sit on the bench. Now, part 3A, I guess, of that would be he's already been told to go because he'll likely lose his job. That would be weird, but okay. So this is where my Michael Penix Jr. take comes from. Fans and media have seen the ceiling for Quinn Ewers. He's improved. I can't believe I'm defending the guy because a year and a half ago, I'm saying there were times he needed to be pulled. The skill set wasn't very good, but he's improved. But you've probably seen the ceiling. You've seen him go head-to-head with Michael Penix Jr., and it wasn't even close. You could see the difference. I mean, everything that people thought about him was magnified by seeing a different kind of player, thinking, well, gosh, we don't have it now, but maybe we have it sitting on the bench. You might. I thought Quinn Ewers played pretty well against Washington. He's become a solid starter. He's tough. He's pretty calm. He doesn't seem to get rattled often. He saved him a second by getting knocked down and throwing the ball out of bounds. I mean, there's not a great deal of criticism about the guy tapping out his own potential. So I thought he made a game effort of it against Washington. He's not the reason Texas was beaten. Surely that's plain the obvious by now. But people see Michael Penix Jr. and you say, well, we know Quinn Ewers is not that guy, but maybe Arch Manning is that guy. That's where this offseason is going. That's where this article came from, and that's where countless conversations going forward are going to start. Okay? I mean, even if I sit here and argue and tell you, wait a second here, the guy that took you to a conference championship, haven't been there in a long time, the brink of playing for the national championship, that guy could lose his job to to a kid that's played 4 to 6 snaps? That's really hard to justify. But then the other side of it is exactly where people are going. Well, you know how to win. You just have that guy like that, like Penix. You got Joe Burrow. You're going to win. Maybe that's our guy over there. He's the next Michael Penix Jr. Now, you don't know if that's true at all. You don't. I don't. But if he's closer to that guy, if you think there's a ceiling there, then, and you want to roll the dice and you say we're gonna blow it up and just take the risk that there's a greater ceiling, then that's where this goes. Point being, this is the conversation going forward until Quinn Ewers says he's leaving Texas. This is it. It's going to be nonstop. And neither of those guys, to their credit, seem to have asked for it. They do everything they can publicly to stay away from it. This is one of the rare times in a world of jackasses like Aaron Rodgers. Here's 2 college guys that rarely say a word, man. They could pour gas on this hype, and it would overwhelm that program because the hype is going to be insane. This Yahoo story was less than 2 days after the game because I do think people are now reminded, well, there's our guy. He was close. He's good. We were close. But if we had that one guy, we win the championship. Hey, wait a minute. He's royalty. What if that's the guy? That's where this is going for the foreseeable future.